This model has an old brow tattoo that has changed in shape and changed in color. So if this is you where it's turned a little bluish gray, then you want to stick around so you can see what color I chose and what product I used to tone down the shape and the color. So stick around and I'll show you how to do that. Hey everybody, it's Jasmine, your brow expert. Thank you so much for joining me. So today is going to be about the brow tattoo where it's turned a little bluish gray. Last week was where it turns a little pinkish color. So if that's you, then you want to click on the one last week because that shows you a couple of tips on how to adjust that. So this model not only has that bluish gray tattoo, the shape is also changed a little bit. So definitely stick around because I know you'll get some tips out of this video today. I've been shaping eyebrows for over 25 years and I am still at the Anastasiabeverlyhills salon shaping brows. And so as you would imagine, I've seen all different types of brows. Definitely come by and get your brows shaped if you're in the neighborhood. My brows have been tattooed a long time ago, so that's also what's going to be next week, where I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience. Let's get to the model and her brow tattoo. You guys ready? So I'm going to focus mainly on one side of her eyebrows because that's where the ink has moved quite a bit. But we all have one side a little uneven compared to the other side. So that's also part of it. So anyway, it's actually not too overly obvious, but you can see I'm pointing out the areas that needs that adjustment. Now I'm going to move her head just to show you how wide that ink has spread. The good news is that it's very light and subtle, but you can see that hue of like bluish gray tone, right? So I told her that, you know, over time it'll even get lighter, but she probably will get some of that removed, but and more of that next week. Anyway, so that is where the most of the adjustment is going to happen. I can't talk here right now, but anyway. So I'm going to use the highlighter. I almost always use this first. This not only helps in kind of creating that light stencil or template, if you will, but I'm going to use the Dip Brow Pomade. So it actually is going to help in kind of, you know, when you get your hair color, they put that greasy part around. And so it's going to help it not bleed too much on the areas where I don't want to spend too much time in cleaning up, right? So just, you don't need to blend it in this much like I'm showing you, but always have this little brush 18 in on hand. So I'm going to use the Dip Brow Pomade in Ebony on her. Now I do have granite on myself, but either one will work. Just real quickly, I'm showing you the hydrating oil because you might be thinking, you know, I have that, but it's pretty dry. So the hydrating oil is great because this product is not only great for a dip brow to loosen that up, it's actually good for like dry cuticles, dehydrated skin. So it's good for all sorts of things, right? And it dries to a matte. So you just put a couple of drops inside the pot, leave it overnight or a couple of hours before you're going to use it, and then it really just smooths it out. So as you can see, I didn't need much, just a tiny bit, because, you know, you could always go back and get some more, right? So make sure when you get it out of the pot, you close that lid, right? Okay, so on the side of the eyebrow that already looks good, I did fill them in a tiny bit down below. This is where most of the focus is going to go, where the application is. Up in the front, I'm just doing these little light strokes right over in the front because she actually has thick eyebrows. So that outline underneath, I'm not going to use a lot of myself because I really want you guys to see what I'm doing on her. So up in the front, light little strokes in an angle, but down below is where the focus is. Now here's the problem child. So I'm going underneath again, actually right below the highlighter and the skin. So that is something that is also great if you do this, right? If you just put this highlighter on, I'm just going to do this right here, and you could see the difference on myself. And if you just do that and make sure, I like to use my hand to warm up the dip brow as well. And if you just go right at that base and go, the reason why I went lower on hers also is that she's Asian, she's got a flat eyelid. So it's better if it's a little straighter, and she wanted it lower as well. So she sees how that makes more sense. I'm just gonna do the side. So that way, again, you can see the difference. So down below here, and then like these little angles up in the front just to kind of give it more of a natural look. Okay, so, and like I said, she's got thick eyebrow hair up in the front. She doesn't need a lot of dip brow up there. So you want to be very careful in not using too much of that product. So as you can see, I'm filling inside that outline. Now up there in the top of the eyebrow, that's where it naturally goes up higher and the ink spread up a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to adjust that. Make sure you use that spoolie brush because when you apply that pomade, it can get very thick and creamy. So you want to make sure you use that spoolie that comes with. Okay, so it already looks pretty because I lowered that eyebrow because it was just too high up. Like you can see right now, my eyebrow, this one's naturally higher. So if you have that, you always want to just purposefully go down a tiny bit lower, especially when you have a lot of space on your eyelid. You want to lower that. And so I'm just kind of adjusting and making sure that the strokes are there. Okay, so you might find that the pomade gets a little warm, not warm, like creamy, right? Maybe a little shiny. That's when you want to grab a powder. Again, I can't talk here. The ash brown powder I'm using just to pat over make sure you use a separate brush for that, to pat over right on the pomade to tone down that shininess. If you find that it's too thick or creamy looking, the powder's always kind of tone down that, and I think it just gives it more of a natural look, right? So try that out. If you don't like, if you feel like it's gotten too intense, then obviously this is optional. You don't have to do that. But here's the magic concealer. This is such a great concealer for just about anything you want to do. I'm going to just tap it on my hand. It's so thick. And you can see right here, I'm going right up that area because I'm just going to do one. I'm using my eyebrows in all different ways here. You can see if I just went like this, I'm not going to blend it in. It really covers the tattoo. So that side, of course, you always want to do both. Even though the other side doesn't need as much, you still want that kind of just, I don't know, a clean, fresh look. So look at that before and after. A big difference, right? But that concealer really not only conceals anything you want to hide around the face, but look how perfect it worked for that tattoo, right? Just going right over it. Now, I'm just exaggerating on my eyebrows just so you can see. I'm just getting it even crazier looking because I want you to see how much it can cover, right? Without any makeup, because mind you, I didn't put any makeup at the top, just that concealer. So big difference. And just real quickly, I want to stress why I use the pomade, because when you have a tattoo ink that you want to cover, or you want to adjust the color, you want to use something that's really going to cover that without that coming through the ink, that is. And the pomade will last you all day, so you won't have to worry about the color going away. So that's another reason why I've chosen the pomade, especially on something that is that's mostly skin than hair. The last week she had a little bit of hair throughout, but this one is just mostly skin. So that's why the pomade, I think, is very beneficial. I want to quickly go over the reason also why I chose the ebony. Ebony has the ebony pomade that is a little bit of a warm tone. You can use even colors that has more red, you know, very warm. I'll get more into the coloring next week. Please give me a like if you did like this video, if it has helped you. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, which helps me in the YouTube community. I will tag the products. You might see that on the screen, the lower side. You could always tap it. I think the products come up. Not sometimes the exact color, which is why the descriptions are important, right? All the products will be written in the descriptions, including my blush, because sometimes I forget to write that down. But the blurring blush serum, it's a tongue twister. And this is the plum. And I actually have a little bit of this on my lip, and I just tapped it. I just wanted something, just, I don't know, something on my lips, but I didn't want anything too glossy, too much. So, which is why I love this, because you could just put this on your cheeks, a little bit on your lip, and you're good. And definitely the hydrating oil. I can't stress this enough. This is gonna help your pomade to get loose again if it's a little dry. But we're headed, or if not, yeah, we're headed close to, some of you guys are in your fall and winter already. This is great for any kind of hydration as well for your face, hands, the whole, not the whole body, because then you'll use this up within a day. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you guys next week.